my God! Things have gotten out of hand. I thought the psychic stuff was bad, but the crime, it's even worse. I haven't been able to come to work for 3 days. The shop has been locked. No sales, gangbangers running around, shooting everyone. I know I shouldn't have bought a shop in this ghetto. Oh my God! Even the police can't take care of all of this. Just look at that limp. Someone should do something about this. Maybe I should close the bookstore and open a psychic studio. Yes! It makes sense. Crime is the 6th element, you see. The darkest element. I could teach people to protect themselves against bad energies and to fight crime.
Yes, what Martinez really needs is more vigilantes roaming the streets.
Exactly. It's a brilliant idea. Thank you, officer. I'm going to start drawing up business plans right away. In the meantime, do buy the books. As many as you can. They won't be here for much longer. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Hello again, sir. I do my studies at home at the moment. I have to help Mum keep this place running. Mum says it's necessary to do both because it builds character. Mum says a proper worker is dutiful. That's how you get ahead in life. You succeed.
There is stress and unease behind these words. She's reciting etiquette.
My name is... Feel free to step in and browse our wares.
This coin-operated view. Why place a tourist attraction in the middle of such poverty?
There was a revitalization project in '49. A design studio tried restoring Martinez to its pre-war glory. It didn't stick. They got as far as the street lamps and that statue on the intersection before something went sour. I suspect it was Evrard Skler's doing. He muscled them out. It's how it usually goes around here. We should have done something about the union 10 years ago. That ship has sailed, officer.
Your money disappears into the coin. The curtains on the display open. The lenses shift. It looks as if it was abandoned quite some. Its leaves ripped from it by the winter wind.
Can you tell? From this distance? I don't think it's possible.
It's not. The details are blurry. There's water vapor in the way and waves cut into the islet. Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. Yeah, why?
Why must we stop to look at this wall every time we pass by? We have business to attend.
Trying to sneak up on me again!
Give me a moment.
Depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads Kraz Marzov.
The White Star, the photos on the wall. I think we have broken into the apartment of a young communard. How fitting. I suspect that's exactly what they are trying to do. There aren't many communists around.
This door is made of metal and a
Oh, sorry, officer. What do you want?
Host Almighty. He's a total bummer now. A colourful display.
Again, I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health.
The tear machine stands.
Wow! A cop limping down the street, bleeding from the shoulder, face bruised, looking like hell? You know what that is? Cool! That's cool! The shine on these sunglasses lasts a lifetime, officer. One.
Between you and me, this is why I don't get involved in local politics. So it goes. Now, what can I do for you? Sure, let me have a look. Anything else you're thinking of selling? I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment. Another time, perhaps.
A colourful display of cigarettes and alcohol.
Again, I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health. Here you go, mister.
The trap is poor thing.
Officer, what happened? You're limping. Why are you limping? You look terrible.
She sounds almost disappointed with you, reprimanding you for falling and hurting your knee.
Look at you. You can barely walk. Doesn't look like nothing. Looks like you've got banged up real good. What happened to you anyway? We heard gunshots from the town. They were closer than usual.
There was an exchange of fire on Rue de Saint-Guylaine. It's nothing to be worried about, madame.
You didn't only get shot.
Well, good for you. Of course. Can I help you with something?
Our cannon, the policeman. I hope the waves... Even I can see that. I told you not to bring your trouble with you, policeman. We've got troubles of our own here. Though I suppose you took the worst of it. Turns out you were your own ill omen. I'm not sure those were the last of the men with guns either. There are always more coming for your kind, officer.
Then we'll be ready for them. The scruffy-haired little boy kicks.
Man, you're like bleeding now. Reality's really messed you up.
Uncle.
There's no...
The legend returns.
Is that the phasmid? It looks like the phasmid, leaning against the wall. Wait, what if this is the fishing rod situation all over again? It's not the phasmid. It's not even organic. It's a fire iron. How disappointing. Right? You'll have better luck next time, though. The phasmid, finding it is your destiny.
Mister, What were you doing in my fireplace? Oh. Okay. Bye!
I see the processing guys have been faster than usual. It's good we stop by to check regardless. Now, island time. I see the processing guys.
The trap is poor thing. A few poor things. An old door, worn by elements, guards the depth. Just dead and dying locusts. Poor thing.
see you.
Goodbye, officer.
Hey, her Innocence Dolores Day liked little figurines, right? Liked holding little men between her fingers, remember? You have the Headless Falcon Rider figurine. You should give it to her. Win her back. Don't be so pessimistic. Love doesn't die that easily. This isn't funny. You have a bad feeling about this one. So very, very, very nifty. Nifty and mysterious. This is surely what the figurines are for. The mother of humanism stands above you. A precious and complex. Why? That does seem to be a problem. Maybe you meant something else? I don't know. What are we thinking of? Part of your mind has gone on to other things already. Only a strange little sadness remains. The mother of humanism towers above you. A wax painting on a cracked pane of glass.
Yes, what is it? Yes, what is it?
That's a deal! Yeah! Medium car! That's a deal! Yeah! Medium car! That's a deal! Yeah! Medium car!
Sidechain the beat. Listen, you can use the compressor to select between which track it's compressing, either the auxiliary signal or the main input from the tape. Make it alternate between the signals. The compressor controls the gain based on the level of the signal on the aux sidechain input. It will allow maintaining a loud sound without peaks that fill up all the headspace.
Sidechaining it, you said?
Then he puts on his headphones and his eyes go wide, wider than they've ever gone on drugs. He starts jumping up and down with bliss in total silence, still listening to his headphones.
Hey, what did you do to Egghead, Cop Man? Did you break him?
Are you ready, pussy?
Noid straightens his back, ready for the beat.
I was born ready, Egg.
The audio assault is glorious. The speed freak dances on the stage, intensely waving his hand in the air.
This is beauty! This is life!
What in the world is going on? The way melody and bass flow together, it's unnatural.
Your body is taking a beating from the low frequencies crashing over you. It's making you feel alive again.
God damn it! This dance club idea might just work out.
DeLorean Church! The place to be! Pump it! Pump it!
This is it. This is a new era. The fabric of the world has been irrevocably altered. Who will be the innocence of hardcore anodic dance music? few bricks have fallen off, revealing a compartment. Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. Casting the freight like a smooth draw, the filament slide, the speaker comes to life.
Good morning. Fortress accident en rue de Saint-Ghislaine. This is East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the production? Good. Please repeat the password. Good. I've unlocked the production schedule. After ending the call, please press print to access the filament.
Really? She just used the same password? Maybe those radio computer guys aren't that paranoid after all.
Fortress accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today? Thank you, and goodbye.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. With a quiet determination, the printer starts printing, a piece of paper unfolding like a handheld fan. A black crisscross of letters covers its surface. It's a project report written by the lead producer, Andrew Andy Schott, about Whirl Untethered, a radio game developed by Studio Fortress Accident. The first few pages give an overview of the capital and workforce, while the rest of it seems to be a production schedule. In its short time of existence, Fortress Accident SCA managed to burn through truly insane amounts of money. The first tranche of seed financing brought in 150,000 Riyal, but then came the delays. Eventually, the damage reached 400,000 Riyal, with only half of the game finished. 400,000 Riyal? You're my yo. These guys knew how to party. Let's just say it was a real adventure for their Igaunian investor. Fortress Accident employed 18 people, the bulk of the team composed of writers and concept artists. There were also radio programmers, sound engineers, a CEO, 2 marketing experts, and a single overburdened producer who developed a habit of popping Pyrrolidon in the basement to escape his obligations. But on the other hand, their obligations were piling up at an inhumane rate, a rate that could only be amended by Pyrrolidon. Why did Fortress Accident have so many concept artists? It didn't. No, definitely not. A few more producers could have come in handy though, especially when dealing with writers, some of whom routinely skip to work because of mental health issues and extremely unprofessional sleep schedules. One of them even managed to steal some valuable company property before skipping town for good. The production schedule depicts their glorious descent into bankruptcy. Not the concept artists. It wasn't even the writers, with their panic attacks and 3-hour lunches. It was impossible not to fail. The project was too large, and no amount of money could satiate the ever-expanding ambitions of the development team. They tried to make a 4 million Riyal game with 400,000 in their bank account. They thought they could bridge the gap with pure willpower and imagination. They couldn't. No, even then, success remained within an ever-narrowing margin of possibility that, despite everything, never entirely disappeared. That is until they discovered the Valley of the Heads. At the 11th hour, the lead designer, Jim Spawn, Suliswaf Jalisa, decided that what Wirral Untethered needed was a secret mystical location at the extreme edge of the map. This place was to be the Valley of the Heads, where the heads of all the headless constructs could be found. The player would have been able to choose a head for their headless party member, and each head would have been voiced on air by a professional actor. The world had never seen their kind before, and might never again. So many. The last count, there were approximately 10,000 heads for 10,000 headless men, all of which could be endlessly recombined. Do you really want to know? There seems to be a calculation here, but it may take a while. The lieutenant taps his foot impatiently, his arms folded tight against his chest. He's dying for a cigarette. Come to think of it, you are too. What if you broke the radio computer? What if it's never going to stop? And that's it. Well, yeah, that and the catastrophic data loss. On the nature of the data loss, there's ominously little information in the production log. It comes at the very end where things get fuzzy and dark, where tables and numbers seem to vanish into an eerie nothingness before the Egonian investors pulled the plug. What is clear is that one day an unidentified numeric anomaly occurred on the East Insulindian lintel front, just as the Wirral Untethered project was being compiled that day. When the project was returned, it was completely blank. The team spent weeks on the phone with Lintel, the service provider, but despite their diagnostics, they could never produce a satisfactory explanation or pay for the loss. Mysteriously enough, it seems that the off-site copy happened to be on-site when the catastrophic data loss occurred. It was the lead programmer's responsibility to oversee weekly maintenance of the off-site copy and, well, keep it off-site. An explanatory note from the lead programmer has been attached. S. Luukinen Kilda, the lead programmer of Fortress Accident, the off-site copy was on-site because there was no off-site anymore. Not for me, not after 8 months of crunch. I didn't have a home anymore, so I started keeping it in the basement in the ice bear refrigerator near where I went to sleep. It was perfectly safe there. The temperature conditions were optimal. That's not what her colleagues thought. The production schedule ends with a few random notes that seem to be added sometime later. 4 months later, by an unknown author. I am the only one left, and it's gotten rather damp here. A few other businesses have gone under, too. Slipstream switched to making skis, and the hairdressers just left, cursing Martinez. They're right, though. Something's seriously wrong with this place. Martinez, all of it. Still haven't got an answer from Lintel about what happened. All I could get were the physical coordinates of the error on the East Insulindian front on that day. Since the computation happened on air, I reckoned it had to coincide with an actually existing location. I have compared the coordinates to a map of Revachol West. Turns out it's only 800 meters from here. The address is Saint-Brun 1147. I am going there to look this thing in the eye. Saint-Brun 1147? That's what the street sign next to the church said. Tiles on the cube are still smoldering, casting the framework in a soft glow. Fluorescent play and print keys shine on the keyboard. The 15th Indo tribe. Because there was. The 15th Indo tribe was comprised of 8 kids from Forberg and North Jamrock, running from wild dogs in the valley, hiding scents under rocks, and stealing clothes off clotheslines, and sometimes even the copper wiring of phone lines. You may have been one of them. This must be a childhood memory. The 15th Indo tribe was your Indo tribe, set to rule in Cylinder. The rest of the kids are dead now. Car accidents and drug overdoses. Only you remain. Tiles on the cube, the filament slides out.
Hello, hello. Sure, let me have a look. Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps.
What a shirt. All other shirts pale in comparison to the muscular man with antlers and immense Zweihanders.
Hell yeah, man. I don't usually carry printed tees, but this one was just pure exemplar. A fan? No, I wouldn't go that far. But I do think the Hjälmdalaman saga is an integral part of our shared reality. Most people don't think that the man from Hjälmdal really existed, but they're wrong. I mean, even if the man from Hjälmdal didn't exist before the adventure novels, the stories have made it so that he has. It's simple, really.
Okay.
You sound skeptical. It's not that complicated. All that's required is a more robust understanding of cause and effect. Besides, I've been to Kotla. though not quite as far north as the Hjelmdal, and watched northern lights travel across the sky. Very unique, energetic tides there.
His theory isn't exactly incoherent, but its logic does suggest some unusual neural activity. Interesting. Very, very unique energies indeed. Geomagnetic ley lines, one might even say.
Welcome to Hjelmdal, officer.
The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian on the cover. Nearly all the titles contain the word Hjelmdal somewhere. A twinge at the back of your head makes you flinch. Your eye starts twitching. Your hand reaches toward a book with glossy cover art of the very muscular man from Hjelmdal in chains, kneeling in front of a staircase leading to a throne. A woman sits on the throne, leering at the man. She's laughing at him, belittling him. Between the throne and the Hjelmdaler man lies a bonfire, casting shadows on the wall. The shadow of the woman's headdress looks like a pair of devil horns. The title reads, Man from Hjelmdal and the Devil Woman. Especially those leering types who seem to wear nothing but an armored bikini. There's also some sort of a snake lizard beast slithering around her abdomen, chest, shoulder region. It's symbolic of vice and sin. The display rack before you is burdened under piles of Man from Hjelmdal novels. A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. A lot of shelf space seems to be taken up by Wirral-related merchandise. Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels featuring shelves full of biography. This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. There's also a wide range of paranatural literature.
Indeed. Something about that book does seem to have spoken to you. Well, I hope it contains what you're looking for.
A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are...
If you say so, but you better stay away from those immoral occult rituals. Wonderful choice, sir. A wholesome family game.
Large letters on the front form a title, Wirral. The colourful box is illustrated with bucolic vistas. The cover art also features odd-looking humanoids, some short, some taller, some with pointy ears, others with ephemeral wings. Text underneath the title in smaller typeface reads, 3rd edition, Mega Setting Supplements Module. The side panel adds, a sword and sorcery adventure board game with new maps and miniatures. Mysterious things rattle inside. What could they be? Dice? Plastic miniatures? A fantastical alternate world full of magic and wonder? None of that witless man from Heimdall, fascist dross, hidden behind faux realistic allegory. Wirral is no cliché-ridden apologia for colonial violence. Wirral is pure imagination. Yes, the Wirral setting is known for its complicated system of political alignments. But if you're not into that, you can just hack your way through dungeons in search of loot. That's what most people do. A blurb on the back reads, tired of the tedium and toil of modern life? Escape to Wirral. Leave behind Isolas and nations with their petty squabbles. Discard electricity, magnets, and boring technological widgets. Succumb to a world of high pasternal fantastique. Unleash your imagination and create an adventure of endless possibilities. Discover the terrible secret threatening Wirral. Can your band of adventurers save the world? Exactly. That's the spirit. All you have to do is read an intricate rulebook, study an assortment of maps, unfold the illustrated game board, and start rolling dice. In no time, you could be romping through grasslands with low-level characters, hunted by Iskala riders, or battling unspeakable monsters in endless dungeons fraught with danger and despair, conjuring up forceful magics to aid your quest. Don't forget heated arguments escalate into physical confrontation with your friends. And beer, lots of beer. And most importantly, never forget to rage quit if the dice don't go your way. You pry open the box. Inside you find a folded up map, a small booklet, a 24-sided die, and a little plastic figurine. A reprint of a crude hand-drawn map. The top left corner reads, Lands of Wirral. The map features both small villages and mid-sized towns with odd names, in addition to meadows, forests, hills, lakes, and seas, also with odd names. It doesn't seem to correspond with anything you've seen thus far. It's not a very helpful map. A quick guide to the magical races of Wirral. Create your own hero, choosing from any of these completely unique and fantastical backgrounds. The options are in order of importance. The Welkin, the Tweog, the humans, the fairy folk, and the pygmies. The Welkin, tall, lithe, and graceful, with long flowing hair and pointy ears. They're known for being powerful magic users, but can also hold their own in a brawn-driven fight. The Welkin come with a variety of exciting sub-races. High Welkin, Forest Welkin, Lake Welkin, and Snow Welkin. But if you're not feeling experimental, a basic Welkin will always do. A grand race of industrious mountain people. They're short, stout, and muscular, and enjoy digging for gold and other precious minerals. They're also well versed in the art of combat, where they prefer to use axes and hammers. The Tweog also come in a few different sub-races. Hill Tweog, Shield Tweog, and Dark Tweog. They're just humans. What else is there to tell? They're average in all stats, and jacks of all trades. A very small race of flying people, known for being mischievous, full of trickery. They often lure people into their magical traps. There are no sub-races for the fairies. The least popular of the Wirral races, the pygmies, are short, rotund, and dim-witted. Pygmies live in small villages made of shoddy wooden dwellings. They spend most of their days tilling the earth and smoking their pipes. There are no sub-races for the pygmies. It's made from some sort of wood and has been decorated with peculiar plant motifs. You don't know much about dice, but this one looks pretty damn fancy. You place the die into your pocket. It's always good to have luck on your side. You see a man in ragged clothes wearing a lopsided hat and wielding some sort of a firearm.
Huh, interesting. A communard. It is not. The communards are not a part of the game setting. I guess someone misplaced it during the packaging process. I have a feeling the figurines are more there to set the scene than anything else.
You pick the figurine up by the base to meet your gaze. The little plastic man stares back at you, his face contorted into a disturbing shout. Then you pocket it. A colorful box with the title, Wirral, in bold letters. It's a board game. Large letters on the... In your hands, you hold a brand new copy of the game, Suzerainty. It's snugly wrapped in a skin of plastic. The cover features a charming illustration depicting a mass of grinning laborers loading goods onto a ship, while a richly dressed administrator oversees their work. The exact location and time period are left deliberately vague, but it's clearly meant to represent the economic relationship between the Revacholian suzerainty and its many vassals. The box has a nice heft to it. You hear the rattle of individual wooden tokens and feel their weight shifting back and forth. What treasures wait in store for you? Even before you open it, you can tell that this will be a meaty game of grand strategy and complex player interactions. The plastic wrap rips off as easily as a bodice in a tawdry historical romance. There's a hiss as the lid slides off. Inside, you find a thick, full-color rulebook and more than a dozen pouches of various wooden components. Savor that new board game smell. A mix of wood, paper, and ink, all wrapped in the sweet must of cardboard. Welcome to Suzerainty, a game of economic strategy for the whole family. The rulebook is sumptuously illustrated and thick as a Gradian novel. The instructions are opaque at first and introduce many concepts you're not familiar with. Fortunately, there are many diagrams and examples throughout. You soon figure out the basic conceit. Each player represents an administrator for the suzerain of Revachol. Your objective is to increase the suzerain's wealth and renown by accumulating victory points. That's where the suzerain's vassals come in. The game features 4 vassal nations, each one home to an economically important resource. Each turn, the player collects resources from vassals where they've placed workers. They may then rearrange their workers, fulfill contracts for coin and bonuses, or build structures back in Revachol. As you leaf through the pages, your eye catches on a sidebar labeled Advice for Beginners. Remember, there are many paths to victory in Suzerainty, but successful players will find one strategy and commit to it wholeheartedly. Boring, boring, boring. Tear up this rulebook and commit some old-school atrocities. The actual scoring system appears infinitely complex, with a series of tables and appendices required to compute each player's final victory point total. You skip that part for now. Welcome to Suzerainty. The instruction, you soon figure out the basic conceit. Each player represents, that's where each turn, as you leaf through the pages, your eye can remember boring. Suzerainty is a family game. The only atrocities you'll be committing are against the social standing of your rival administrators, as you bring in ever more resources and power for the suzerain. Speaking of, The actual scoring system appears infinitely complex. You open up a number of pouches containing wooden tokens. There are also several punch boards with other cardboard components that will need to be punched out before you can play. Each cardboard token makes a satisfying ch as you pop it out. Soon, a neat pile of cardboard coins and counters has accumulated before you.
What? You're not going to offer to let me punch any of them out?
In addition to the worker and building tokens used by each player, there are also several piles of colorful resource tokens, each representing one of the game's 4 principal resources. From the Empire of Safre, orange apricot tokens. From Ilmarat, the ancestral name of Ilmara, gray marble block tokens. From the Seminine Islands, white sacks of sugar tokens. And from Supra Muindi and Sarah Maritza, magenta tokens for unprocessed cocaine leaves.
Oh, those are nice.
You hold the open game box before you. The lieutenant looks over the rulebook before he sees something that makes his eyes go wide.
Holy shit. The average playing time for this game is 1 to 6 hours. I'm not sure we can afford to set aside that kind of time for a game.
What is detective work if not an elaborate game? You need logical inference, attention to detail, the ability to analyze your opponent's motives.
I do feel like my thinking has become somewhat rigid. Maybe a little diversion to keep the mind limber is just what's in order.
See? He's doing the hard work himself. All he needed was a little nudge.
Alright, you've convinced me. How do we play?
You explain the basic setup procedures to the lieutenant, who seems to be a quick study. You each take your bag of tokens and counters and unfold the board between you. In the center is the crown of Revachon. Radiating outward are her colorful vessels, each one supplying some raw material desired by the suzerain. Apricots from Safre, archaeological treasures from Ilmarat, sugars from the Seminine Islands, and magenta cocaine from Supra Muindi and Sarah Maritza. There's also a neat little log to keep track of your progress in case you need to put the game away and return to it later. The lieutenant goes first. He draws a contract card and moves several of his workers to the Safre territory of the board, and the others to the Seminine Islands.
Alright, detective. Your turn.
You have a few options available to you. Will you try to fulfill contracts right away, or rearrange your workers to maximize production on future turns? Remember what the rulebook said. You'll want to choose a strategy early on and stay committed to it. What is the very beginning of the game? Your workers haven't even done any work yet. That's more like it. You produce a handful of archaeological treasures and a smattering of other resources. Meanwhile, the lieutenant spends 2 of his sugar and 1 of his apricot tokens to complete his contract card. He is rewarded with 4 coins and a round wooden token that he places in the center of the board.
That's a market. It's worth 2 victory points.
The lieutenant returns your baleful look with a satisfied grin. Come on, is that your game face? You're practically broadcasting your position to the lieutenant with that expression. Glancing over the board, you see several possible strategies. Pressing more workers into service would increase your economic output and help you to survive a possible conflict with the lieutenant. Or you could ignore your labor supply and focus on fulfilling contracts for points and resources. Those aren't your only options. You could also show your workers how much you appreciate them by investing some of that wealth in them. After all, They're the ones producing wealth for the suzerain. Well, sure, you can do that. It's just not a terribly effective strategy, but then it's up to you. To the lieutenant's puzzlement, you spend several turns building various improvements to your territorial infrastructure. Soon, your workers have access to clean water, paved roads, and basic hobbies. In return, they produce 1 extra resource per turn.
Too bad investing in your workers just isn't worth many points. Take a look at the scoring tables in the back. You see in Table 8C that investing in territorial infrastructure multiplies your final victory point total by 1, which is to say not at all. Whereas erecting monuments in Revachol gives you a multiplier of 5. Yes, precisely.
Now it's the lieutenant's turn to respond. He moves aggressively onto the Safre territory. Soon, his workers are producing a steady supply of extremely valuable apricots. How can you let the lieutenant dominate you like that? You need to hit back, and hard. For several turns, you struggle to respond to the lieutenant's burgeoning apricot empire. Eventually, you relocate the majority of your workers to Supremawindi and Saramaritsa, where they begin producing a bumper crop of cocaine tokens. You draw a new contract card. According to the text, there's an aristocrat willing to trade a large supply of cocaine for a number of coins and access to a rare bonus. Amplified music worth 7 victory points. Oh yeah, baby. Cocaine and rock music go together like cocaine and rock music. You know, this isn't unlike the situation the historical Revacholian suzerainty faced in Safre in the middle of the last century. Well, the suzerain was looking for new markets for all the cocaine it was producing, and it settled on Safre. By introducing cocaine into Safre under exclusive contract, the suzerain created an extremely valuable captive market for an extremely addictive product. If you could somehow get the lieutenant's workers addicted to your cocaine, you could not only make them less productive, you would also force the lieutenant to pay you for your cocaine tokens each turn. Yes, you can. It's right there in the rules. You've reached a critical strategic juncture. How do you respond to the lieutenant's aggression? With each passing turn, you slowly bleed the lieutenant of coins as his own workers become less productive and more dependent on your magenta cocaine tokens. As a matter of historical fact, this is almost exactly what happened in Safre. To this day, fully half of the former Safre Empire remains dependent on international aid in exchange for a steady supply of cheap produce.
More or less.
Realizing victory is slipping away, the lieutenant launches a desperate gambit: protectionism. By erecting tariffs on your cocaine, he hopes to starve you out of the market at the risk of incurring the suzerain's disfavor. The end game is upon you. Do you escalate the trade war with the lieutenant in hopes of crushing him with your economic might? Or do you ignore his aggression and focus on building the mighty victory column structure in Revachol herself? Alternatively, you could throw the whole game away by trying to build a public education system for the children of your workers. The choice is yours. Building the ultimate structure requires diligent economic planning, which you completely fail to do. Rather than build a glorious monument to Revachol's economic superiority, you have to settle for a handful of post offices and school for the blind.
A risky gambit, detective. Sorry it didn't pay off. That might have helped, yes. Now, let's tally up the scores, shall we?
Computing the final scores is almost a game unto itself. You each spend an inordinate amount of time making stacks of coins, consulting tables, and struggling with basic addition and multiplication. After double, then triple checking your maths, you have your final score. 15 victory points. The suzerain will not be impressed.
I've got 26 points. Don't be glum, detective. There's always next time. Figuratively, I mean. There's no way we have time to play this game again. Now, let's clean up and get back to work.
You hold the open game box before you. Medicinal purposes of the Pearl. The cover of this heavy tome features a number of esoteric symbols. Flipping through the book, you find a number of sections on the general benefits of the Pearl. A large pharmacopoeia makes up nearly half of the book. You come across the following explanation. While modern pharmacopoeia are continually updated by so-called experts based on the results of clinical trials, readers will find assembled here the timeless wisdom relied upon by generations of traditional Seolite medicine practitioners, Mesk mystics, and Ilmaran folk doctors. It's all quackery, in other words. Finally, something to calm the angry spirits that have been plaguing you. It seems to contain descriptions of the medicinal properties of various ingredients that may be gathered from the Pearl, as well as instructions for producing a variety of herbal remedies. There are a number of Seolite tonics that promise to improve your short-term memory, but nothing that speaks to your condition. There's nothing in here that speaks to hangovers directly. However, while browsing through the various descriptions, you become convinced that you could assemble something from the ingredients listed here. Want to give it a shot? First, you need to choose a base ingredient. Next, you'll need to combine the base ingredient with an appropriate vehicle. Lastly, is there anything else you'd like to add? The combination of mint and birch bark make this tea relaxing and good for the digestion. It won't do much for your hangover though. Would you like to try again? Very well. First, choose a base ingredient. Next, you'll need to combine the base ingredient with an appropriate vehicle. Lastly, is there anything else you'd like to add? The ginger root will help with the nausea, and the birch bark tea will help you flush out the toxins. The sugar just makes it taste better. The very thought of this tea causes your muscles to relax and your mind to clear. You're more present and in control than you were a moment ago. A tingle rushes down your spine, and you feel your toes uncurl. If only it could always be like this. In your hands, you hold 16 Days of Coldest April by Yekatina Dahl. The cover image shows a row of concrete apartments above which span a black and white rainbow. Indeed, the book is unusually heavy in your hands, as though the cover were lined with lead. It would do that in Grad. You flip through the book. The pages are thinner than you realized, and the type quite small and tightly set. It's nearly 600 pages long. Real art is dense and difficult. If it didn't feel like you had to wrestle a suicidal bear to get through it, you weren't really reading. The back cover is dominated by a black and white photograph of the author. She can't be much older than her mid-30s in this photograph, and yet, from this cover, The eyes of a sad old woman stare back at you. The Greatest Innocence by João Paulo Salomão Lopes de Fuego. The book is large and heavy. Browsing through the various chapters, you try your best to understand the ceaseless overflow, the sprawl of names, dates, places, events historical. Most of it ends up as a twisted mass of facts inside your brain. You can do it. It'll be worth it. There's something here. Your educational survey is done. Did you catch any of that? No. Oh well, it's pop quiz time. Let's see what you've learned. This might take a few minutes. You ready? That's the spirit. Here we go. Question 1. Who was the first innocence? Oh yeah, this is what I was made for. A pop quiz is a short examination designed to test your knowledge without any prior warning or announcement. Such exams allow the teacher to assess how thoroughly the students have retained the material at hand. Voila. Now blast that first innocence. Thanks for nothing. Dolores Day. Dolores. Incorrect. Dolores Day was the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. She codified parliamentary democracy and created modern institutions. Among these, the moral intern, she was powerful and beautiful on all her icons. Her colors are silver, white, and apricot. And when you think her name, Dolores, stomach acid rises to the back of your throat, and it hurts. You see a flash silver, a wreath, an airport bag, and blonde hair. You don't know why. Another choice, perhaps? Steer clear of this one. There's something terrible about this one. A strange sensation of loss. When she left the earth, the dust, and the ice, and the humans. That is unimportant to the quiz. Stop thinking about this. Yes, the quiz is impersonal. No need to rouse sensations in yourself at the mention of Dolores Day. Who was the first innocence? It wasn't Dolores Day. Incorrect. Sola was anointed during the previous century and even lived to see the current one. She was an urban planner who spoke her mind and largely left history to its own devices, encouraging people to excel on their own rather than prescribing to a deified model of history. She is often called an anti-innocence. Sola resigned after an assassination attempt by a Yugo nationalist who blamed her for not taking the side of the left during the turn-of-the-century revolutions. Innocences don't usually resign. Care to try again? Correct. Nothing much is known about him. It's not even clear that he was a he, but Franco Negro presumed as such and called him Pius. He's depicted as a young man with molten gold pouring out of his mouth. All he spoke was gold. It's said he invented God and equality of men before God. He also introduced the gold standard as a way for measuring people's love for Aurum. As the first innocence, he declared that there should be more of those like him. It is presumed his disciples were the beginning of the Holy Party, the founding party. Question 2. Who was the strongest innocence? Easy. Everybody knows the answer to this. You, me, anybody. An innocence is the highest category of historical personage in the world, a literal personification of history. Traditionally, an innocence, when anointed, assumes supreme rule over the Occident or the known world in general, at least the parts that matter. I can do better. Okay, so commonly an innocence does not enforce his or her power through military power. This is seen as unnecessary. The innocence wins because an innocence can't help but win, for their deeds are inevitabilities. Did this help? Great. genius. Incorrect again. While she originated many modern institutions, launched several successful expeditions, and was even critical of the Innocentic system itself, and somehow keeps popping up in your mind, she is not often considered the strongest. Even though the words most associated with her rule are l'amour, la compassion, l'autodiscipline, love, compassion, self-control, which could be seen as facets of strength. Would you like to try again? Please, relax. Incorrect. Vespa Messina is not a person, but a defunct state on the southeastern coast of the Occident. It used to take up most of the peninsula before separating into the republics of Vespa and Messina. Care to try again? Correct. Named the innocence of militarism, he codified hereditary rule, but at the same time ended serfdom and established the Inter-Isolari Real as the global reserve currency. He also established the concept of the nation. Franco Negro attempted to solve the rising tensions between the aristocracy and bourgeoisie by building a unified society in which every man has a place and a mission, but at the same time may rise to nobility provided on the strength of his virtue. Question 3. Who was the false innocence? Got it under control. No problem. Solid on this one. It's widespread historical information. Yes, there exists a group called the Founding Party, known as the Holy Party, during the time of the Pericarnacian. This, the world's oldest international organization, spends its time in search of either the re-emergence of the innocents or new members. There seems to be a mix-up with the sources. It's not my fault. At least it clearly wasn't Dolores Day. She wouldn't be false. She's beautiful. No, stop thinking it. I said it wasn't her. She was true. Incorrect. Stepan the Despicable, regent of Kedra, was a ruler who conquered the known world during the Kedriatic conquest, instead of the despotic Erno Pasternak. Would you try again? Correct. There have been a number of counter or false innocences, some assumed to have innocentic qualities, some who just thought so themselves. Occasionally, they have the support of a faction inside the ecclesiastic organization, and accusations of foul play have arisen. The most famous and important of these was Erno Pasternak. He was into torture, despotism, hymns, cannons, and world conquest, but got defeated and humiliated by Stepan the Despicable of Kedra. Final stretch. You've come so far and learned so much. This is the most important one. Question 4. Who was the greatest innocence? The most important of them all. The most precious to humankind. I've got it, honest. Of course, this is my thing, the reason I exist in this world. The correct answer is Franco Negro. 0 doubts. While it was actually her. Correct. The Mesk might see Franco Negro as the father of nations, but as of this century, there's been a great shift in attitude. Dolores Day has become widely regarded as the greatest innocence. A most radical change to the whole fabric of the world. Everything from inter-isolary travel to the connected world to 3 consecutive scientific revolutions can be traced back to her. Every decade that passes, she seems less human somehow, and more beautiful, and more beautiful, and more beautiful. Congratulations on finishing the test. The results and your subsequent grade have been calculated. You get an F for failure. Ha ha ha. You would have done better if you just left Dolores Day for the end. Dial the Dolores Day down a bit.
What's going on with you? Okay.
You are shouting at an inanimate object, like a real weirdo. No wonder you seem to have trouble with the right answers. The face of King Fleecell smiles at you. For some reason, the smile now strikes you as more forced than it did before. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, Du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée, unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel. La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. Only 4 issues in, and it sounds like they've already alienated their readership. Perhaps they've overestimated the market demand for this kind of commentary. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union. They're probably bankrolling the thing.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. This hat is so soft, so warm. It wraps around your head, and your mind tingles with all manner of socio-economic theory. Kraz Mazov would have worn this, Yushenka. Mazov knew where to cook those thoughts. That's why it bears a Mazovian logo. Glory to the revolution, comrade. Whether you like it or not, wearing this hat has made you more communist. The luxury of fine things. Just look at those black monk straps. After spending an entire day hustling, who's to say that you didn't deserve a pair of ridiculously expensive shoes on your tired feet? Beautiful things give you a rush. It's power. Crafting your style, draping your flesh in silk and leather, deciding how to present yourself to the world. Remember, when they come to take it away from you, you worked for those shoes. Whether you like it or not, wearing these shoes has made you more liberal, ultra-liberal. They're either a gateway drug or a booster pack to get you deeper into free market ideology. You finally made it, haven't you? People point fingers at you and whisper to each other when you pass by, wondering to themselves, where did that man get such a cool jacket? Did he receive it upon graduating the École Normale Supérieure de Badasserie? Is he dangerous? You are very dangerous, my friend. Dangerous and cool. In fact, no one dares to say a single thing about the jacket. But believe me, they are all very impressed. These are some wonderfully regular pants. Not too tight, not too loose, moderate in every sense. You'll blend right in at some pleasant dinner party. I know you do. These inter-Isolari pants are like wearing a perfect compromise in your nether regions. No one will call the moral intern on you like this, that's for sure. You're a little more moralist now, buddy. A little more normal, even if you didn't want to be. The graffito has been... This was Cindy the Skull. The fuel oil catches fire immediately with an ominous hiss. A bright orange flash across the surface of the letters. Black smoke rises from the burning message. The lieutenant has taken a small step back. He looks at your face illuminated by the flames and nods silently. Then the fire falters. The flames warmed him too. Not at all in a bad way.
Let's go to that island.
Slowly, the flames subside, the fuel burning out. The air still smells of mazout and springtime.
And controlled by Lintel in the east in Selindic region. It's all around us. That's what on air means.
Like love.
I guess it is, but it's not anyway.
She liked telling you this. It calmed her nerves.
I'm work.
The machines.
Could you?
It's not just rudeness.
They are connected.
Short and terse.
came and took everything away. It was like in a war zone. So after his death, we had nothing left, and we were in danger. My mother had to change her name, mine too. We left it all behind. It was a stupid idea, and I'm still disappointed I came up with it.
Aren't there any local authorities who might look down on such activities?
I took that into account, of course. Coordinated the operation with the débardeurs, else they might get unhappy.
Fathoms of your own personal deep, vertebrate by vertebrate, through the unformed skulls of your mind. Here it will begin. Who fucking cares? No, not good. Orgasmic. Oh, don't worry. The music's still there. It's you who is gone. Nothing. Just the immaculate silence of your spinal fluid. Electrified.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Every vertebrae in your spine is an unformed skull ready to pop up and replace the old one. Like shark teeth. The one you're currently in has a little brain forming in it, waiting for its turn to rule the world. Yes, it's all true. In the spinal cord.
From what I can see, It's about to bust a move.
Foolhardy! Do you even know what's happening on the surface? Maybe 1,000 years have passed. Or maybe you started spazzing out like 2 seconds ago. With your eyes still closed, the first thing you feel, all the way back in the pivoting darkness of your own torso, is warmth. You have become a triumph of rhythmoplastics, somewhere in a smelly wooden church on the coast of Revachol. The wounds from the war you waged on your body are healing, twist by twist, turn by turn. As you open your eyes, you should scream, hyper, hyper. It seems appropriate. Makes up for in violent enthusiasm.
What's going on here? Delinquent.
This is clearly a Code 31 emergency. The lieutenant squeezes the bridge of his nose. The lights reflect off his glasses. He's obviously having trouble adjusting to this new reality.
The Code 31 emergency? Really?
The lieutenant crosses his arms with a bemused look.
What's happening? How the hell are you dancing with that broken leg of yours? Good for you. Rock on then. What?
Who's the one in charge? You are.
Are you kidding me? Get my what on?
Sheesh, okay.
Okay, you psychopath. I see what you're doing there. It's jacked up footwork, plus is that Ubi folk dancing?
Nah, it's not Ubi folk. It's hardcore.
Yeah, whatever.
That all you got? I did 15 years in the juvenile crime unit. I can't do age inappropriate. Now, check this shit out.
The lieutenant begins to heel kick the church floor with such intensity, it's reasonable to fear he'll kick a hole right through it, causing the floor to crack and the pillars to collapse, bringing the church roof down on all of you. It doesn't look like he'd give a shit either. Part of him is amazed you're both able to just dance after all these horrifying events in Montanez. The young woman lifts her headphones up slightly and raises her chin, looking at you expectantly.
Asil, aren't you going to dance?
No, recording.
The lead programmer throws the other young woman a knowing glance before turning her attention back to her own work. She's still at her mainframe, pressing buttons, reading printouts, but she started nodding her head along to the music. The young man
What now? The sound above your what?
Above my hair, man!
Okay, this is too imbecile. Excuse me.
Music pounds through the hall of an old stave church on the coast of Martinaise. Several figures are lost in the beats, their bodies pulled this way and that by sound. One of them, an officer of the RCM, suddenly stops. He appears disoriented, then starts shaking violently, no longer in rhythm with the music.
The beats that you had all fired up just a moment ago seem overwhelming. Nauseating. They shift and multiply like pieces of colored glass in a kaleidoscope. You're gripped by panic, alongside a dizzying feeling of deja vu. Then everything goes silent. Could be. It was almost like the utter unpleasantness of the experience was breaking through the barrier of your recent memory loss.
Maybe your memory loss was caused by something like this.
Do you know how long it would take to figure out what's really wrong with you? The interviews? The poking and prodding that you'll undergo? All this excitement of dancing and dancing harder. And even feigning real hard is better than dragging your feet from office to office, examination room to examination room. All mercilessly white, bright and smelling of antiseptic.
Besides, you've got a case to solve right now, and you won't get to solve it if you turn yourself into a lab rat. Whatever's wrong with you can wait.
You'll lay here in complete darkness for a while, far away from everything and everyone. Then consciousness will slowly begin to return. But you already know, it rarely is.
Waking up, you see the lieutenant talking to the young people, a worried look on his face.
I've seen this thing happen before to people partying too hard.
It's his leg. Did you know he was shot just a few days ago? He shouldn't be dancing like a madman. He should be in bed, resting.
The lieutenant sounds genuinely worried about you, and furious with himself for not stopping.
Yes, what is it?
All you hear is
Yes, what is it?
all you hear.
Yes, what is it?
All you hear is
Aye, the sea's gonna calm down soon, I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. What's on your mind, officer? That won't be a problem. It's wind still and the tar just dried. We've got 2 days of relative sunshine ahead. If you promise to bring it back, and no scraping the hull, I just got it nice and yellow, and no drinking on the boat, and no joyriding either.
Of course, ma'am. It's only for a day or two. Official police business.
Aye.
the crow's feet disappear from the corners of her eyes as she smiles at you.
I'm sad to hear that. Take care of that with Ether, will you? Don't get too many RCM men round here. Be sad to lose the first one.
That's cool. You boast in your bacterial infection like that.
Used to be some kind of fortification there before the war. For the communards. An anti-aircraft gun, I think. Bombed to bits in the landing. I haven't been there myself. Always steered clear of it.
Hasn't been there herself. Who has then?
My husband used to drink there. Him and his drinking buddies. Always seemed like a bad place to drink to me. People died there during the landing, you know. My mother told me.
This must be one of the many fortifications that was used in the dying days of the revolution against coalition forces before they took this city.
The kids sometimes go there too. I know they do, on rafts. I tell them not to, but they bring back old bullet casings and such. The twins. God forbid they bring the girl along on some rickety barge.
Can we maybe ask your twins about that place before we go? Would that be alright?
Be my guest. They've a strange way of talking. See if you can get anything useful out of them. I seldom do. Well, most of it's sunken. Underwater. That means concrete underwater. Cut your boat if you're not careful. Be sure to enter from the south side. Water's deep there.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Please be conservative with the fuel, will you? Just filled her up, but it's a small tank.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the...
On that island? That's, nothing. It's just a seafort and some plants. You can take a raft there. It's great. And we make a fire. We make a fire. Mm-hmm. Gather the sticks for the fire. And bullets. Or not real bullets, empty bullets.
Bullet shells. There are a lot of them left over from the war, but this could be important.
There are lights. The fire guy comes and asks us to put the fire out.
Your nerve endings sting from the mention of a guy. They must mean a human being on that island, but it's cut off.
No. Yes.
Let's go with yes.
Because he asks to put the fire out. I don't know. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like people to be there. You shouldn't go. Yes. I don't know.
Did you mean there are electrical lights?
Yes. No, he doesn't live there. I don't think. No, he lives there. Been there twice, 2 times. He doesn't live there. He isn't there sometimes.
Anything else? What does this guy look like?
I don't know. We ran. He just yelled we shouldn't be there. There's
Lights, fire guy. We should check up on that island.
Be careful out there. Sea's calm as death, but still. There are ruins underwater. You can scrape the paint, or worse.